A very good morning to everyone. Hope you're well. I was just over at Alfredo's channel. He had a live. It's showing very well, like that. And in chat, a friend, Carlos, he said that Bellagio took the dice away from him, and I found that very strange. But you know, it has happened. Okay, could have happened. I'm not saying it hasn't. And the idea was that he was throwing short on the table. He was losing money. He wasn't making money, and also he was on his own, very early at the table, and sort of throwing and supposedly brushing the back wall as opposed to hitting it. Which, if you start making distinctions like that, I think it's not a good promotional thing. So anyway, he left them. They took the dice away. Left, went to Fremont, and showed a 40. So that kind of, they gave him a jacket for that at Fremont. So street cred to Carlos. Well done, man. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can do something today. Not to get kicked out of the casino, obviously, but just to feel good about ourselves. Dice are out. Hey Mel, good morning. Five, 3, 1, 3. Five drift. We shall take that. Undrifted. 3, 2, 3, 6. So it's 5, 3, 1, 3 still. Dice up. 6-2 explosion of both. All right. I'm gonna go with one position. Original 3, 2, 3, 6. Bad decision, 2-5. Should have gone with 2 positions, never mind. So that was implosion. Hello, banker, good morning. Let's go with a 3, 6, 3, 2. Reversing the set. One, 4. Secondary. That didn't hit any of the back wall. So I would get a warning about now, just about now. That's it. 1, 2, that's a double pitch axis. Hard 10. Did I do the 1, 2? Yes, hard 10. Something's wrong. It's not registered. Okay, let's do this, see if it's gonna register now. 5, 5. Okay. Time to change sets. 2626. Four, 1, 5. Front line. Hey Blue Jay, good morning. Good morning, Dan. Kalimera. All right. 2626. Part 4, 2, 2. That's primary. That's it. prep perfect 6-6 with a 4-3 phasing. Oh, come on, come on. Implosion of both dice, 4-3. I received this very kind comment from a gentleman called Gargoyle, and he was saying to me, stop getting frustrated when you're throwing at home. So I don't know why. I just do, and I think people noticed, and I do apologize for that. Anyway. Dice up. 3-6-3-2. 2-4-6. One, 5, 6. Triangle. Heart 4, implosion. One, 2, 3. That's a double pitch. Psychologically, it's very, how should I put this? Tiring to expect one more number and not be able to get to it. Same shit again, you know, if I have to regrip the dice, it just adds to how upset you are when you throw. Here we go, dice out. And off the table. Dice out. 358 secondary. Sorry, man. Oh my, 358 submit. Can you please for the rebuy, whoever wanted the rebuy, sorry, I pressed the button by accident. Yeah, it is not registering. Something is really messed up with 358. Come on. Okay, there was somebody who. Thank you very much. 2. Boxcars, okay, enclosure, right. Got the hard 4, why not the boxcars as well? Hard 4, good. So how many numbers do we have? 2, 4, 5. Right, so let's go to the opposite set. 3, 6, 3, 2. Let's go opposite. So it's a 4, 2, 4, 6. Same dice family, expectation of different numbers. Dice. For 2, 4, 6. Aces. Well, we needed those. So we can hedge the 5, all down for 300. We need a pass line as well, so. That's at 4, 2, 4, 6. 4, 6, 10. We needed that. That's secondary. Dice up for 2 for 6. 6 5. That's a drift. So we're getting the numbers that we need. So we have a 5 and 9 situation, and we're probably not going to get to them unless we change set. So 6 5 and 3 craps. We get them when we either double pitch or drift our dice, and the opposite effect of that for the 5 and 9 is a 2 3 2 1 or 2 1 2 3, a 5 6 5 4 5 4 5 6 set. If you drift those, you get the 5 and 9. If you double pitch the set, you get the 5 and 9. So in line with what we're doing here, we're going to go with the 2 1 2 3. Dice out. That's a 2 5 7 double pitch, so would have been a double pitch 7 even if we stayed on the other set. It would have been a 4 3 7. So we get paid on the hedge about $100 or $90 profit sometimes. But the idea of okay, the double pitch actually must have caused a 415. So we would have actually gotten where we wanted to. We're not far from what I said would happen. Anyway, so this was a 10. Not bad. In a 10 we got close to hitting the ATS, and we could have hedged either side. I just hedged the 5. That's here we go. Let's repeat last. Two, 1, 2, 3. It's not the set, it's how I threw it, I guess, that made the difference. I started going on about what we call contributory negligence. Maybe it's a strong word, nobody's gonna get done for it, but if we recognize that something is going to happen, why not fix it before it does? Oops, sorry. That's explosion. Bit worried about that. But we just double pitched so that yeah, 4 2 4 6. Dice up. 3 6 9. That's secondary. Takes me to 2326. Two, 1, 3. 2, 3, 2, 6, secondary 2, 1. Three, 2, 3, 1. Five, 6. Primary. We need these numbers, but not necessarily right now. 3, 5, 3, 6. Two, 4, 6. I'll take that. So those are my 2 hits and down. Hey, Crop Dog, Caniela, very nice to see you. Good morning, everyone. Better cross. 1, 2, 1, 4. One, 4, 5. Secondary. Five, 1, 5, 4. Three, 5, 8. That's explosion 3. Explosion left basically. 3, 5, 8 front line. Six, 3, 6, 5. Hard 8. So we already know this is a 4, 2, 4, 6. We're expecting something like aces or 12 to happen here. Something off axis. Something which is not on the set, hard 10, hard 4, something like that. That's the expectation. Now I could 7 out. But I think the mechanics are just taking us to something which is one off axis. 1/6, okay. Off axis. There were warning signs basically. I mean, I could have changed the set and I should have changed the set, and this is the part of contributory negligence. If you think through what's happened on the previous toss, on a 6-3-6-5, you get a hard 8, means that left die was on axis, but the right die exploded outwards. So let's go and examine the next set. Which was a 4-2-4-6, right? And we got a 1/6. 4-6. So let me just work through it. The previous one we said hard 8-5. That was explosion of the right die. This one was here, explosion of the left die, 1-6-7. So we knew there was something wrong. We did nothing about it. We could have gone 4-6-4-6, very simple. Change, explode the left die, 2-6-8. So at its very simple, at very simplest, basically, we could have done something about it. We didn't do anything about it. So this is what I call contributory negligence of the shooter. He's actually hurting himself by not observing the results. I did observe the results and I did nothing about it, so partly I am to blame as well. And I think we spoke about it right before it happened, so it's a bit more, credible. All right, so I'm gonna go 1-5-6-5. It's a kissing 4 set. Dice out. 4-2-6. That's explosion of the left die. Dice at 1-5-6-5. Dice up. 5-4-9, explosion of the right die. This is what we want to see. So we bet 1-5-6-5, kissing 4s. Dice up. 6-3-9. That's implosion of the right die. Same set, 1-5-6-5. Dice up. 4-3 drifts. Wow. Interaction with sidewalls. That was unexpected, guys. There's some things you expect that this one was not expected. 4-3. Here we go again. Repeat last. Hardware set for one. That's all. 4, 2, 6, and 2 is off axis. Dice out for one. Three, 5, 8. The 5 is off axis. Dice out for one. 4, 6, 10. That's axis. Secondary. That's my 2 hits and down. So until I see something which says, okay, he's stabilizing on axis. Mostly, whatever. I'm not going back to resets. Just going to regress after the 2 hits. We have 3 numbers. I'll start changing sets as soon as I get 4 numbers on the table. And the ATS starts becoming a lot more important. Here we go for 1. Don't stop. 3, 5, 8. The right die stopped. For one. One, 3, 4. That's axis number 2. Four, 1, 5. I have to change sets, guys. Two, 4, 2, 1. Five, 6, secondary. Three, 5, 3, 6. Ah, come on. Implosion with aces. Implosion of the left eye. Oops, escaped. So that was an 8. So we're not doing that good. Started 3, 6, 11, 9, 4, 8. As soon as I changed to V sets, I went off axis. That's terrible. We try again. I was wondering if somebody wants to give me a set to try out, and I will explain what is your favorite set. I will try it out for sure, and I will explain to you as we throw them the difficulties and the warning signs. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Anybody? Mel? Caniela? Croc? Four, 2, 4, 2. Okay, so that's a very simple set. It's a hard way set. Everybody knows that 4, 2, 4, 2 is the preferred set according to Golden Touch. The reason being for that is very simple. The sevens are placed at the maximum distance between each other. 3, 5, 3, 1 is from skill. We'll do that later. So it's a 3V set, by the way. So 4, 2, 4, 2 is just a hardware set. You could actually set the dice to 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 5, 3, 5, 5, 4, 5, 4. Same sort of idea. Why would you choose the 4, 2, 4, 2 over these other sets? I would choose the 4, 2, 4, 2 over the other sets if at least one of my dice hits the top or the bottom. One of them. I'm not double pitching, I just hit one of the numbers, faces the top or the bottom. And if you do that, that's great, because you will be hitting a lot of box numbers. There is no combination of two numbers whereby one of them is a 4 or a 3. That is not a box number. Do the math. 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 plus 3 is obviously 7. That's the double pitch. 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 6 is 10. So everything on this is actually on the table. Then you go to the 3. 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 plus 2 is 5, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 4 is the double pitch, 3 5 is the 8, 3 6 is the 9. So this is one of the, another way of thinking about this. Why do we use it now? If you go one off axis, which is ideal for hardware sets, to go one off axis, you can never 7 out. However, in my case, I try to stay away from this particular sort of classic hardware configuration. The reason being that I do go one off axis if I am to use them. And I actually go to this particular setup, 5 6 5 6, whatever, because I'll find the 3s and the 4s on the sides. And that actually is what guarantees for me that I'm going to get more box number action as opposed to being on a 4-2-4-2. However, having said that, I will switch to a 4-2-4-2 set or 5-4-5-4 set or whatever the case may be when I want to hit the extremes, because I'm counting on at least one of my shots drifting. If I drift on a 4-2-4-2, it's the snake eyes, the extreme, and if I drift, it's boxcars. Also, if one of my dice comes in, rotation 6-5. If this comes in, rotation 1-2. So you do get, the extremes. So it's a very good set. Let's try it out. Let's see if Golden Touch was right. Most of the 7s are on the axis. So we'll try very hard. We'll try first of all not to double pitch. That's the most important thing. There are 2 more off-axis 7s on this set. It's the Implosion, the 6-1, and the Explosion, the 1-6. So we have to make sure that when we throw the dice, we don't push with our thumb, because if we do that, we expose the 6-1 on the one side and the 1-6 on the other. All right, here we go. Dice up. 2-5. That's a double pitch to start with. What do I blame that? Where do I blame that? I would blame that on very poor middle finger placement more than anything else. Let's do it again. Repeat last. Six, 4, 2, 4. Cool, man. Excellent. Okay, we will get to them in a minute. Just give me a chance. We're going to throw this one first. So let's make sure that the middle finger is placed correctly. And this is the point where I will correct it. Here, dice up. 5-4 secondary axis. Now for me, staying on axis would be something that worried me. A lot of people will say, yeah, I got the 5-4, I'm on axis, I'm doing what a Golden Touch are saying. For me, it's very worrying, because you have to always consider that hardways have 4 7s on the axis. So it's not very hard for somebody throwing the dice to get the dice to go out of sync. There's so many reasons why we do it. major one being this one, the middle finger. But there are other reasons as well. For example, if you're doing backswing like I do, one of the major reasons is the transition from this part of the throw to this part of the throw. Different muscles are involved in this and in this. Two different, the agonist and the antagonist muscles are involved. So at the transition point, you may develop a jerking sort of motion, and that jerking motion will translate in a butt release. The butt release sends the dice in a non-synchronized way to the back wall. Dice up. Let's check middle finger here. Good. Five, 3, another on axis. Really worried about it. I would rather see a 3 craps or 6-5 yo as opposed to the on axis results that we're seeing here. Let's put some money down. I'm just trying to explain my thinking, guys. Some people might find me crazy, some people might say, okay, but you cannot have everything. You cannot practice to be on axis, and then when you are complaining about it, it's I'm constantly doing risk assessment when I'm throwing dice. So dice out 3, 2, 4, 5, 9. Secondary. So remember, we did one adjustment with a middle finger. We made the middle finger go towards the center. We kept everything almost the same. The last throw was a bit, I had a bit more velocity in it. But apart from that, everything remained the same, and you can see 5-4, 5-3, 4-5. So we are there. It's on axis single pitch, either towards one or the other way. And that's scaring me. It's a warning sign. You're staying on axis on a hardware set. You have more chances of a 7 as opposed to, anyway. I'm just trying to emphasize it a bit. Let's adjust middle finger. Dice up. 5, 6, okay. I'll take that. I like the off axis 6. Love it. Not because it's gonna come out or whatever, because it's a 6. It's here and it came up, so I know for sure that I can't 7 out with one of the dice being off axis. Dice up. Five, 2, ouch. With a 4-3 perfect double pitch, so why? What happened there? Was it the same? 2-5, no, it wasn't the same. So somebody like me would consider, okay, it was a 5-2. Where do the 5s and the 2s reside? They reside here and here. So if I was to go to a V set like I think there was one of them which was discussed in the Crapsee chat, 3531. Okay. 3531. It's a 3V set for the 6. If we double pitch that, now the 5-2 would be 2-1-3. That's the transposition. We get a 2-1-3 out, which is a non-7 result. And you know that's important for somebody who is really into it, to be able to transpose on the fly and say, okay, I double pitched, would I have been better off on a V set? Now, in the case of the 4-2-4-2, if the result was a 4-3-7, that's a top side, bottom side result, and going to a 3-5-3-1 would have again been a 4-3-7. So you actually need to make a lot of transpositions in your mind before you pick up the dice for your next roll. I have to. I know it's a come out, but it's amazing how many warnings we get. So I just wanted to, bring that out there. What are we going to do? We're going to stick to the set. I'm not going to change the set. I'm just going to stick to the set. I'm just going to say, okay, let's be careful on what we do. I'll just come down from that. 25, 25, 25. Here we go. Dice up. I think the come out 7s are the best indicators on what you should be doing next. Maybe the middle finger was a bit too deep on the dice. Heart 4. Okay. So that's a primary. Two and a 2. But I mean, you can see here there's a 3 and a 4, so there might be a side pitch to that occasion. So again, I'm not very happy that I am sort of staying on axis and hitting numbers like that. So I would come down and I would say, okay guys, take me down to something like a table minimum, and as I earn more sort of confidence, I'll bet more. And usually what I do is, I'm very bad at strategy by the way, so what I would do is just do my super power press of $5 on each number, or 6 if it's a 6 or an 8. So it's a 32 across every time. Really gets them worried. Aces, that's the drift I was talking to you about. If I get lucky, I'll drift. This is interesting though. You can see the 5s here, which is nice. Here we go. For some reason, Jay, I can't read what you just wrote, so I have to switch here. No, it won't show either here. and just put something like a 1. Seems to come more often on the come out. Well, no, actually, probability dictates that only something like 17 or 18% of all 7s are come out 7s. But that's, you know, that's just me. Well, that's just probability, I would say. All right, Red Eye, thank you for that. All right, so I have to say something. This is kind of a disclaimer. The disclaimer is that for my mechanics, the 4242 do not work because they give me a lot of outside numbers. Because if I am to use a hardware set, it means that I'm going one off axis. And the 4242 contains the 6s and the aces, which potentially contain at least 4 numbers, which are the extremes. So 6 5, 5 6, 1 2 2 1, and aces and 12. There we go. So the first adjustment is to the thumb. I come back, I adjust the middle finger, and I make sure that the rest of the fingers are okay, they're in line. Dice out. 1 2, pause, and let it go. 5 6 5. So that's on off axis. 6 5. Oops. There we go. Here we go. 4 and 4. How many numbers do we have? All right. First adjustment is for the thumb, second adjustment is for the middle finger, and third adjustment is for the index and ring finger. So we're set. 1 2, pause, and throw. 4 1 5. I like the ace. My practice table is tougher than my local. Okay. Well, Jay, if I can just recommend to try and sort of put an underlayment like I used to do. I used to have the neoprene not fitted to my table. Now I have it fitted underneath so that it's really bouncy. And that will give you an idea, a better sort of practicing idea, and sort of put you on a journey to master that sort of surface. Dice up. Hard 8, that's a primary. So again, people might be saying to you, well done, you know, you're throwing well. And it is a good thing to throw primaries, which, you know, keeps you very safe in terms of the double pitch being as far away as possible from you. It gives you confidence, the right sort of confidence. However, you should have been on a V-set right now. Here we go, dice up. The V-set is not going to give you as many fancy numbers like hard ways. It's not. Dice out. Unless you make mistakes. Three, 1, 4. Front line. I like the 3, 1, 4, the 1 off axis. That to me is success for this set. Guys, I need 1 minute, I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I just need to do something. Be right back, thanks. Sorry about that. I just had to, feed my dog, Henry. Here we go, 3, 1, 4. That was point. Dice out. 6-5 yo. So that was nice because it was implosion left, 1 rotation. Any position of the right die would have been okay. It doesn't matter whether it was a 6-5 or whatever. There's a lot of people that complain unnecessarily and they don't recognize that, you need all the numbers unless they're 7s. And you need them so that the more data you have about what you're throwing, the more informed you are about what to do afterwards. So if you see somebody who's really careful about setting dice and changing his sets, obviously you have to see some consistency, not a chicken feeder, but some consistency, then appreciate it as opposed to complain about it. Dice out. Heart 6, that's a primary. Yeah, Marvel. I do sort of tend to hit lots of horns with this particular set, but I don't mind. I don't mind. They all the sets have their use, and it's for us to be able to transpose our sets and recognize the importance of each one. That's it. Three, 5, 8. Another axis. That's it. 1, 2, 3. There you are. Craps. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and that's the small. So yes, for me it's ideal to hit the small, the tall, whatever. So if I was to change the set to sort of accommodate the rest of the numbers, what I would do is take this set and reverse it, and the reversal process is this one. That's it. I have to take the set and change its direction, basically. So the idea is if I hit the snake eyes with a drift, the drift now is going to produce a 12 because the aces were here before, here and here. So the set becomes a 3-2-3-2. Now if you don't want me to do that, obviously I'll stay on the 4-2-4-2. And but the idea being that if we hit hard hard 4, then we should be able to hit the hard 10. If we hit a 3-1-4, we should be able to hit a 4-6-10. If we hit a 4-1-5 or a 3-2-5, we should be able, in theory, to hit the 3-6-9 or the 5-4. So that's the idea. And if you will allow me, I'll just use a 3-2-3-2. Maybe we'll be able to get to a full 8 years, I don't know. That's it. Six, 4, 10. So it's a new number. We weren't getting a 10. We got the 10. So we have an opportunity maybe to hedge the 9. Maybe. I would do it. I would hedge the 9 for, let's say, 300. Although I'm very bad at strategy, don't take my word for it. 3-2-3-2. We have a 12 and 9 to hit, so. Two, 4, 6. Cool. That's a front line winner. So we're on a 3-2, 3-2. 2-4 was on axis. That's a 4-6-10. I like the 6. Oops. 3-2, 3-2. That's it. A double pitched with a hard 6 facing. Okay, that's good. 2-5-7. So the double pitch happened from the sides facing us and facing away from us. That's important. So what happens when you toss a 7 set? Arnold, hello. I haven't seen you for a minute there. So anyway, so Skill and Luck has the next set 3-5-3-1. And then it's DJ with a 6-4-2-4. Okay. Let's explain the sets. So this one was, I think, the longest roll. It was a 20 roll. So recognition to marble. He's thrown the longest one yet. Okay, so let's go to a 3-5-3-1. It's a 3V set. It's I would say the original type of 3V set with the identical numbers found on the opposite die. So if I open this die, I'll find the 5 here. If I open this die, I'll find the ace here. So you can see the 5 here, I know there's a 5 here. The ace here, I know there's an ace here. But if I implode the dice, it's a 6-1. If I implode the dice, it's a 2-5. And of course, 2-5 here. So same goes with this one, implode 6-1 here and 1-6 here. So with V sets in general, there are 4 off axis 7s and 2 on the axis. 3-1, 3-5, 3-1. So the double pitch is only for these numbers. It's a 4-3-7. And what happened where we threw a 2-5-7, which was here, and it would have been a 2-1-3 for us. So let's go 3-5-3-1. Getting a little bit cold, so I'll wear my sweater. Here we go. This is where throwing on axis is imperative, because if you manage to do that, then We are minimizing the amount of sevens. Three, five, three, one. Let's go. Three, one. That's a secondary. That's axis secondary. Oops, sorry about that. I didn't have any bets up. Let's go. All right. So 3, 5, 3, 1. And it's a 3, 1, 4 secondary. All seven sets are only used as, for me, I would only use an all seven set as a set of last resort, and it does take confidence in using it, in the sense that you have to practice throwing it to sort of understand that the stigma of having all sevens looking at you is nothing. It's just your mechanics expressing themselves that, you know, will self-correct the dice into non-seven results. So I use it as a set of last resorts. I try very hard to follow my rules, not to double pitch and etc. etc. So if I can't manage it, I just use it as a tool of last resort. That's it. Five, 3, 8 secondary. Forgot to put bets up. Anyway. Here we go. Three, 5, 3, 1. That's up. 5, 6. That's a double pitch on axis. This is where the V sets are forgiving. If I was on a 4-2-4-2 set, that would be the 2-5-7 or 5-2-7 that we experienced. So this is where they become forgiving. Because from a 3-5, 3-1, we rotate, 5-6. So that's a double pitch. And these are the other two results, the 3-4s. 3-5, 3-1. That's it. For 2-6. That was implosion, even more dangerous. The 2 is a 1 which came inwards. So this is rotation, rotation, implode, sorry, 3531. Here we go. Rotation, rotation, implosion. Why is it dangerous? If it was rotation, implosion, 5-2. We're just lucky that there was one more rotation on the dice. Here we go. 3531. Hey Arnold. Arnold, I will say this, and I will say this to everyone. It takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot of practice, and it's not an impossible thing to remember results and to sort of stick to one dice set from each dice family to be able to interpret and move to the next sort of dice set. Do not be impressed by anything. It's something that if you put your sort of effort into it, and if you actually sort of repeat the results, it will become second nature to you as well, and anybody else that cares to, to learn this craft and memorize, as you say, it becomes second nature after a while. So I am sure you can do it. If I can, for sure you can. Dice up. Oh man, come on. 4-3 double pitch on axis. Should stop talking. Alright. So now we move to the next set, which is a 6-4-2-4. 6-4-2-4 is 3-6-3-2 set. It's the inverted V set, whereby if you implode the die, it's a hard 4, implode the die here, it's a 12. The reason why you would take the position of a 6-4-2-4 is that you are actually afraid of the implosions. So you're putting the implosion 7 at the bottom. For example, if I implode this one, this die has to travel 2 rotations to get to 2-5-7. That's the idea. 6-4-2-4. This is the set, right? Yes, it is. Same with this die. If I implode to the 6, this die has to travel 38 millimeters to present the ace. Let's throw it. Here we go. Let's repeat last. I'll stop talking. Focus on throwing the dice and not double pitching them, hopefully. Dice out. Three, 2, 5. That was on axis secondary. We love when we get a 3 or a 4, but not both together. Because we're on 3 V sets, it's very important to understand that we're on a 3-6-3-2 set or a 6-4-2-4. This is what's happened 3-2-5 on axis secondary. Here we go. Dice up. Hard 6. That's a primary. I just wanted to share with you something else. If you're using a 3V set at the table, I understand that you will be using same color dies. Now, feel confident if the result contains a 3 or a 4, but not together, obviously. Feel confident and throw the same configuration in terms of the what die goes on top, etc., etc. In this case, we're doing very well with a 6-4, 2-4, because we're hitting here and here. This is what we want. One of the dice to show a 3 or a 4. Why would I say that? Because if we have a 4 in the results, then apart from the double pitch 7, which is an acceptable risk because there's only 2 of them, the rest of the numbers that show up, whether they are on axis or off axis, are harmless. They're non-7 results. So have that in mind as well, because you'll be using same color dice at the table, and this is a good idea how to sort of gauge your performance on the table. Are you hitting 3s? Are you hitting 4s? Without obviously a combination of a 3-4. That will actually tell you that you're okay with your rotations. 6-4-2-4. That's how. Let's arrange the middle finger. That's how. 2-5. Okay, so what happened there? Remember we said something. We're trying to place the 6-4-2-4. We'll go to 2-5, right? We're trying to place the off-axis 7s at the bottom, and we did that. What happened here? 6-4-2-4. Explosion of this die. Sorry. We rotated, and imploded to 2-5. Let's do it again. 6-4-2-4. The idea is we were afraid of implosions, and this die imploded, and this die traveled 38 millimeters, 2-5, 7. So it can happen. It's not impossible, but what you're doing is you're doing your very best to put them as far away from you as possible. George, while using the hardware set, do you find yourself to be on axis 60? No. No. My goodness, 66% is very high, by the way. 66% on axis means that you're beating randoms by 50%. Because what you're trying to do is actually beat the 44.44% of being on axis. And I would consider somebody hitting like a 50% on axis ratio a very good shooter, very accomplished shooter. And that's a 10% better than random. So you're welcome. Okay, so the next set, 3-5-1-5. Okay, 3-5-1-5 is a 2-3-2-1 set. Back to the original ones. 2-3-2-1. That's the original set. 3-5-1-5 is a quarter turn. In this case, the person using this is more afraid of the explosions. So he's placing the explosion die as far away as possible, which is at the bottom. So here we go, explode the left die, double pitch this 167. Or let's go back to 3515, explode this die, double pitch it 437. So these are the off-axis sevens that you can expect to get. Just putting it out there. Obviously there is the double pitch 7, the 5-2 and the 2-5, which are on the axis. Four, 1, 3, 2, okay. Four, 1, 3, 2 is a what? It's a 4, 1, 4, 5 set, which is just double pitched. That's all. It offers you protection from this implosion, but it offers none against this one, the 1-6. So let me just do it again. 4, 1, 3, 2, rotate, implode, that's a hard 4, but implode this way, it's a 1-6-7. So, you know, every set, even the hybrid sets that you just came up with, will offer you some protection from your mechanics. But it will not offer protection from everything. You know, it's just, you know, we say we're influencing dice. No, we're not. We're not influencing the dice. What we're doing is actually observing our own mechanics and how those mechanics sort of affect dice behavior on a particular surface. And what we're trying to do is, if we understand that, dice behavior, to have enough sort of adjustments in our toolbox and enough knowledge of dice sets to adjust accordingly so that they work and they align with our throwing strategy to avoid the 7. Here we go. So, sorry, I was digressing a lot. 3-5, 3-1-5, 3-5. It's a 1-5, that's a 3-5. So it's a 2V set. Protecting against the explosions. Here we go. Dice up. Same goals here, to stay on axis as much as we can. Dice up. 1-6 on the come out. Oops, Control Z. Overdid the sounds there. Let's put back the So what happened? What we were afraid of happening. 3-5, 1-5. We were afraid of, we tried to protect against the explosions in this case. And what happened? The left die exploded. And we would have been fine if it stayed here, if it stayed here, or if it stayed here. So that's the 19 millimeters distance. But what happened? This rotated twice. 167. 3515. We try again. There is no on-axis explosions. Explosions by definition are, describing an off-axis result. 3515. That's it. Heart 4, that's a primary. This is how the dice landed. We just have to rotate them. 3515. Here we go. So in this case, because we're using 2 V sets, we get a lot of confidence because we got a 2 in the result. Dice up. Heart 4. That was primary. We're very happy with that. Unlike, hardware sets, when we stay on axis, I get worried. Here it is, heart 4, 3515. Here we go. Dice up. One, two. That was nice. 2, 3, 5. That was explosion, by the way. Right die. We got the 2, so that gives us confidence on the rotations. As long as we get a 2, that's good. We're on a 2 V set, so a 2 or a 5 in the results, it's perfect. As long as it's not a double pitch 7, 2, 5. 2, 3, 5. Okay. Three, 5, 1, 5. Dice up. Five, 6. That's a single pitch on axis. I am happy about that. Although it offers no value to me. It's still on axis secondary. It's got a 5 in it. Perfect. So this was a rotation and rotation. 3, 5, 1, 5. I would very much like to teach people to see results in a different light. Dice up. 1, 2. Didn't like that. 5, 3, 8. That was explosion of the right die. Got the 5, which is okay. In the results, I mean. But the right die was an explosion, which we provided for, if we can say that. Alright, let's come down and just relax, just throw dice without thinking about the bets. Yeah, I was going to say something to Arnold. I started knowing nothing about everything. I couldn't understand what people were talking about when they were talking about dice sets, 3236, 2321, things like that. It takes a long time. It's not something that, oh yeah, you're born with it. You actually have to sit down, look at the dice and say, oh, okay. So by describing 4 numbers, you get the rest of them as well. So dice up. Hard 8, that's a bad number. And that's the difference between somebody who knows how to read dice and somebody who doesn't. The right die imploded. This one came inwards, okay? And that should worry us. Because this is how we started, 3, 5, 1, 5. Now we got lucky because this die rotated to the bottom and imploded to the hard 8. But what if it didn't, and what if it stayed on top? That's the implosion 7, 3, 4. So that's why I get a little bit worried about it. There's not much you can do to change the rotations that you are actually experiencing, because look, we are hitting 2s and 5s all the time. Did I actually input that number or not? Let me see. Yeah, I did. So I'm a little bit skeptical about whether I should stay on the set or just quarter turn my dice to go back to getting the 5s and the 2s and whatever. So I'm going to stick to it for the time being. 3, 5, 1, 5. Let's go. Dice up. 1, 2. 3, 1, 4. That's a primary. That's how the dice started. 3, 5, 1, 5. There they go. So we are on axis primary for the time being. Still worried at the back of my mind I have this 4 which is residing on the side doing any damage, but you know. I don't want to put too much pressure on you guys. I think it's unfair to sort of get you worried, because you tend to experience a lot more casino action than I do. If you're not going to go to the casino for a long time, I would recommend that you spend a lot more time looking at the dice at home and your results and working out the behavior. Here we go. Nice out. Still on a 3, 5, 1, 5. We hit 4 different numbers. I would get away from the set, perhaps, you know, go to another set. But this is the set chosen. Let's keep to 3, 5, 1, 5. 1, 6. And that's a 7 out. So what happened here? From a 3, 5, 1, 5, we said we choose this set because we are afraid of the explosions. And we're placing the explosion 7s at the bottom. So what happened? What we dreaded happened. Explosion, rotation, 1/6. All right, let's just have a look where we are with numbers. 78, okay, I'll do one more. Yeah, I tend not to say much, not because I don't want to say much, it's because I feel that people get bored. And I don't want to bore people with me talking too much, that's all. So I'm working on, I'm actually producing something as an evergreen video whereby I'm going to explain a lot of the why, the when, and how often do you actually sort of change sets. And it's going to be a little bit more in-depth, explaining a lot of things to do with mechanics and to do with sort of developing mechanics which develop consistency. And once you develop consistency, you move on to the next part where you trust that consistency to a certain extent, and you use the right dice set to align to, to a playing strategy, which, what is it at the end of the day? Avoiding the 7. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not a public speaker. I have to admit that. I'm not that person. So I do apologize that, if I go through phases of the sound of silence or whatever. All right. So we did examine a lot of sets. I'm just going to do the last one, and I'm going to perhaps do some commentary as to how I'm thinking before I throw the dice. So in order to develop consistency, you have to throw a lot of times, and you have to sort of do the same things over and over again. Posture, before you actually pick up the dice, you have to be at the right position to pick up the dice, whether it's going to be from the top, whether you're going to place the dice to your left or to your right. It does make a difference, because if you're using a par grip, picking up from the top will be like so, but if I pick up the dice from the left, my hand will automatically sort of skew towards the right in order to pick them up. If I pick them up from the right, my hand is going to go this way to accommodate the pickup. So we do all these tricks on posture, and we have to adopt the right posture so that we can pick up the dice and feel comfortable that they're well placed in our grip, and that's part of the grip. Then we observe the dice by eye, and we can pick out a few things like thumb, whether it's placed 50-50 on the seams here. Middle finger plays a huge role in the double pitch results. So if you correct that, you are halfway there. And the index finger and the ring finger, they should become very submissive to the rest of the fingers, the thumb and the middle finger, simply because they're just there to keep the dice straight and nothing else. their role is that simple. If they are dominant, what happens is that they actually, interfere with the axis and you go off axis much more easily, I would say. So this is why we try to keep them in check. Necessary, but not dominant. So once we are happy with our grip and the dice set that we choose, we forget about these things because it's going to be an overload for your brain to have everything in mind and then having to toss the dice. Then as we finish with those things, forget about them and sort of focus on the general landing zone that you're going to choose. Decide on your flight, visualize the toss, and never forget for the follow through. The follow through is what we do, and we keep our hand where we last released the dice. We don't put it like so, we don't put it like so, because the dice are actually affected and they will go like this if my hand follows through to the right or to the left. You will see that the dice actually travel to that direction. So we try and keep it straight. So gripping from the top, posture changes to accommodate the starting position. I adjusted my thumb, I'm adjusting my middle finger. More pressure on middle finger and thumb. Forget about the grip now, I'm happy with it. Looking at the landing zone and visualizing the toss. Want to do follow through, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, follow through. 4, 3, 7, double pitched it, okay. Good information. People will say, well, okay, that was a 4-3 by the way. Good information because I'm staying on axis, I'm just double pitching, so the middle finger is most probably the reason for that. Let's see, did I enter the 4-3 here? No, I didn't. Oh, I did, sorry. Here we go again. Let's put the ATS back up. Okay, Arnold. Pick up from the top. It's not right or left. This is left, this is right. I didn't see any bias in my my right die or left die throw. Grip. Dice up. 1, 2, 3. That was a 2 and a 6, which was a primary, but it was off the table as well. Never mind. Let's do it again. We decide on the set. We forget the set. We grip the dice. We forget the grip. Focus on the landing zone. Visualize the toss. 1, 2. 6, 3, 9. That was explosion left. Okay, am I worried? In this configuration, I would say the following. 1. Did we get a 3 out of it? Yes, we did. Do we know at the real table whether this is a 3-6 or a 6-3? We don't. So are we happy with it? Yes, we are. Now in this case, I do know that it's a 6-3-9. In the particular configuration, 3-2, 3-6, I don't mind the explosions. but I do mind the implosion 7s. 2, 5, 1, 6. So there are two possible scenarios, and this is where it gets, this is where your brain will overload. There are two possible scenarios that happened here. One, I was on axis and it was a 369. Two, I was off axis and it was a 639. What is 639? It's an explosion of the die. Am I worried? No. So this is why I will keep to this sort of set. Okay? There will be situations where I'm sure that I imploded. For example, a 145. The 1 sits outside on the left die. It could have been a 415 secondary. I got the 4 that gives me confidence, but the 1 doesn't. So maybe I would make the adjustment and go to a 3-6-3-2 set as opposed to a 3-2-3-6 that I'm using right now. So this is where it's just an overload of information for anybody, including myself. This is why we practice at home. We do the overload at home. This is why we say, okay, we're happy with the grip. We decided with a dice set. We forget about it. We grip. We adjust the grip. Forget about the grip. Then the toss, landing zone, follow through 1, 2. 3, 1, 4. This is on axis. Let's talk about this. Every toss deserves to be talked about. We got a 3 out of it. We're happy with that. That gives us confidence. We got an ace out of it. 3, 1. There are two scenarios. Scenario number 1, if both dice were the same color, we wouldn't be able to, let's say we didn't, track the dice carefully enough, so we don't know. Was it a 3-1 or a 1-3-4? If it was a 1-3-4, that's implosion of the die. Do we stay on this set or do we adjust? Let's adjust the set. Let's go to a 3-6-3-2. From a 3-2-3-6, we just take this die and put it here. 3-6-3-2. What would happen if we were right? It was a 3-1-4 before. This is what happens. The next result would be a 3-5-8. So no harm, no foul. Arnold, next trip is probably in the summer. So it's a long way away. So let's go with a 3-6-3-2. We have no reason whatsoever, but let's assume that we had same card dice. We took our decision on the set, forget about it. We grip the dice, forget about that. Let's focus on landing, trajectory, visualization, and follow through. 1. 5-1-6. What is 5-1-6? It's explosion of both dice. Right, this is one of the difficult ones. Although it doesn't harm because we're on a 3V set and we got a 6, 5-1 being an explosion, or it could be a primary result. What are we going to do? The 3-6-3-2 set does not like explosions, it loves implosions of the dice. So even if it was a primary result, we don't know that, so we're going to go back to take the dice and put them like so in a 3-2-3-6. Here we go. 3, 2, 3, 6. And the other thing was that we didn't get a 3 or a 4. Dice out. Dice out. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. That's a drift. Let's assume that we didn't know that, and that we just got the 3 craps. We don't know whether this is a white die, this is a blue die, and it could have been a 2, 1, 3. I will always assume the worst. I will always assume the worst. One of the moves that I would do is either to double pitch the set, immediately go to a double pitched 3V set, or to change the set to a 2, 3, 2, 1. If I drift the dice again, it's gonna be a 6, 3, 9. If I double pitch the set again on this particular set, it's going to give me a 3, 6, 9. So it's gonna be a compromise, let's say. Did you see a 2? Did you see a 3 or a 4 on this result? No, you didn't. So I try my very best to track my result. So here we go. We're changing the set. 2, 3, 2, 1. How many results did we get? We got 4 results. We're allowed to change sets. Dice up. 1, 2. 2, 6, 8. All right, I know that this is secondary, but it could be a 6 to 8. The good part about this is the following. Did we get a 2 or a 5 in these results? Yes, we did. So we're happy with the set. The 6 was an implosion, okay? So it makes us worried. Because in a 2, 3, 2, 1, let's do it the right way, 2, 3, 2, 1, we are worried about implosions, and it could have been this one, rotate, implode 6, 1, 7. We know now that because we have the same color dice, that we were on axis. That was just a rotation here, 2, 6, 8. But, you know, because we're assuming the worst, what are we going to do? We're just going to do this. If we were on axis, then the next result should be a 2, 4, 6. If we were off axis, then the next result is a 3, 2, 5. Harmless results, but what we're doing is we're being extra cautious and sort of dice influencing. Now, basically what we're doing is observing our mechanics and making sure that the results, you know, avoid the 7s as much as we can. 2, 1, 2, 3, dice out. 1, 5, 6. Now I know this is secondary. But let's assume again that this was a 5, 1, 6. I know it's a 1, 5. Sorry, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. It was 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1 is on axis, 5 is on axis. But let's assume that this one was a 5, 1, 6. The one would have been an implosion of the right die. Do we mind? No, we don't mind. And that's how we take those decisions. There, we stick to it. 2, 1, 2, 3. Rotate, rotate, implode. Cool, I don't mind. This one was just rotate, 1, 5. Cool. So, am I demystifying a little bit? I don't want to do that, Jay. Sorry, man. I don't want to sort of focus on one number and sort of try and hit it, because the idea of that, to me, is very difficult, first of all. Not impossible, but quite difficult. I would very much like to be able to just avoid the 7. That's it. If I can avoid the 7 a little bit more than the average, it's enough. It is enough to have a decent roll. And that's all everybody's asking for. Same set, 2, 1, 2, 3, dice up. Two, 1. That's implosion. Do I care? In either case, I don't. 2 and a 1. That's a great result, because it can be interpreted very easily. If it was a 1, 2, 3, that would be on axis secondary. It contains a 2. I'm very happy about that. And the ace, it's either on axis or an implosion, so I'm good. I'll stay on the set. Not really, but I don't know how counting cards works. Sorry, I can't help with that. Dice out. Adjust the grip. Heart 4, that's a primary. We know that whether it's 2 colored dice or 1 colored dice. By the way, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I'm not sort of changing my bets or anything like that. 2, 1, 2, 3. Adjusting my thumb, adjusting the middle finger, forgetting. Three, 2, 5. All right. So let's talk about that. You see, you don't want me to talk and then I talk a lot. Let's assume that we didn't know that this was the blue 3, which is implosion. And we thought it was a 2, 3, 5. 2, 3 secondary. The result contains a 2, we're on a 2 reset, we're happy. If it contains a 2 or a 5, we're happy, we're sticking with it. Or we're sticking with V-sets. Or we're sticking with the rotations that we put our dice in. Now let's go and examine the 3. It could have been on-axis secondary, or it could have been left eye implosion. Implosions is something that on this particular variation of the V-sets we don't care about. We're not worried about them because they don't lead to easy 7s. So we need snake eyes, and that's an implosion of the right die, I guess. And we need the 10, 11, 12. Okay. 2, 4, 6 numbers. Dice up. Not a good grip, but never mind. It's a 1, 2, 3. This is secondary, but let's go through the motions. Let's sort of qualify the shot. It contains a 2, so we're 50% there. It contains an ace. Could be secondary result because of the blue die, or it could be a 1-2 result, which means that it was the right die. Sorry, it could have been a 2-1 result whereby the right die imploded. We don't care about implosions, so we're good. We just see the repeater on that. 2, 1, 2, 3. Dice up. Breathe out. 2-5 double pitch. Okay, so I think that was an okay roll. That was a 12. Nothing like the Hardways roll, but let's put things into perspective. If I was on Hardways, this would have been a 7. It's a double pitch. If I was on kissing sets, it would have been a Hardway result, the way I throw them. If I quarter turn my dice, I would have avoided the 7, but there was no reason for me to believe that I needed to quarter turn my dice because I was getting continuously a result of 2, which protected me from most of the 7s which reside off axis. So I felt that it's the right decision. And this is the best that you can do, guys. You cannot sort of avoid double pitching all the time. The set, the grip that you're going to be trying to perfect is not going to always be perfect. And we have to be a bit realistic as well in the sense that on V sets, most of the 7s reside at 19 millimeters away. V sets are very forgiving on axis, but they're not very forgiving off axis. So you've got 4 of the 7s residing off axis, and the 4 of them residing off axis are dangerously close to being hit if your mechanics are not supporting that sort of throw. In this particular instance, we double pitched. And you have to accept it. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good time. I'm so sorry to have talked so much. I think I'm losing my voice because of this. All those 3s got me. Okay. Sorry, I don't know how you were betting red eye, but You are probably doing hotbeds. Anyway. You're welcome, Arnold, and everyone. Oh, I see, Red Eye. I see what you're saying. I truly enjoyed, explaining things. I just didn't. I never thought that people are interested in this side of the game, so I don't talk much about it. Oh, you're welcome, DJ. You're welcome, and everybody. Thank you very much for hanging around on your Saturday evenings. I hope you have a restful evening, and we'll catch you next time. No, this is George, and the dice are out. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.